to Celsius Radio.
Okay, folks, we're recording, and joining us on here, Celsius Radio community today, is none other than CEO and co-founder of Celsius Network, Alex Mashinsky. Thanks for your time, Alex. It's a great honor to have you on our show.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm ready to hit those questions.
Yeah, okay. For those who, just to begin with, for those who don't know, Alex is a leading pioneer in VoIP, voice over internet protocol, which we're enjoying as we speak, and even more pertinently, pioneer in earning yield on our crypto. We've got about 20 minutes and a bunch of questions, so let's crack into it. Jonathan, would you like to kick us off?
I will do. One of the most common questions: when sell 100? No, I'm just kidding, Alex. I know you can't comment on that. No, I'd like to talk about the Ethereum gas fees. Onboarding new users who don't necessarily have much money is a bit of a problem due to the gas fees. I think there's a solution coming sometime soon on either the Celsius side or the actual Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah, so obviously we're all waiting for ETH2, but there is, layer 2. There is all these other ways of doing, solving the gas fees. But for hodlers, that's not a problem. If you're a hodler, you don't even know there are gas fee problems. So, so Celsius has been a great place for hodlers to hide during the, crypto winter. It is a great place for people to kind of resist selling their coins during this mass run-up, because you do need to remove your hodl mode. You got to wait a day. You got to think it over. You got to send it out to a different exchange or something like that. So in a way, people think it's a bug, but actually we think it's a feature, that we have all these roadblocks or bumps in the road to try to make you think several times before you sell your coins. So I'm less concerned about gas fees, because frankly, again, our goal is to make you earn more Bitcoin, more Ethereum, while you don't sell your bags. That's what we're trying to do. So while others are working on solving gas fee and so on, we try to figure out ways to convince you not to touch your coins.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, go for it, Sarn.
Yeah, I mean, I find that quite interesting as well. Definitely for people that hodl long term, if you're not looking at making too many transactions, you can actually be quite far away from the fee side of things. I didn't realize the Ethereum gas fees were so high until I saw on Facebook that people were complaining. New people into crypto that didn't actually understand what was going on. So, yeah.
That means you're a real hodler. That's what it means. If you have to learn about it in papers, online,
Yeah, and well, there are tax benefits to being a hodler too. When every transaction is a taxable event, well, it becomes quite complicated if you're doing a lot of trading. Now, Alex, while we're on the subject of Cell token, I'd like to ask, is it a security? What is a security, and what's the potential future implications for Cell and other digital assets, coins, tokens that either are or aren't registered as securities?
Yeah, so the definition of a security actually is not the same all over the world. Take XRP as an example. XRP was declared not a security by the Japanese regulator a few days after it was declared a security by the SEC. So obviously one of them is right and one of them is wrong. But there is a scenario where something could be a security in one country and not a security in another. So today, the Cell token is, we don't think it's a security. We have opinions from 3 different law firms that say it's not a security, but we don't want to test it. If we test it with the SEC and we force their hand, they may decide that it is a security. So right now, we want to see what happens to XRP. We want to see what the new head of the SEC, what's his opinions, right? We want to see what the Senate or other political bodies want to do with crypto. I think the question is much bigger than is sell a security. The big question now is crypto the future of finance? And if so, what is the United States of America is going to do about it? What is Europe going to do about it? And so on. So we are right now, for us to sit on the sidelines and wait for the storm to pass is probably the best strategy. We are barely handling the growth. We grew up over 10 times, not 10%, 10 times, 1,000% over the past year. So just managing that is a full-time job. And I think I'm a real believer that sooner or later, regulators and politicians are going to realize that applying laws from the 1930s to the latest and greatest wave of adoption of this new wave of internet is just the dumbest thing possible. So I'm optimistic. You can say I live in the clouds, but I think all of us are there. We all live in the clouds, right? Just in the crypto cloud instead of in the. So I'm not worried. I'm just we don't have any of these issues outside the United States. So it's really the only country where we have to be careful and we have to wait for the for the regulators to make a decision.
Awesome, thanks. That's a great answer.
And I think they're going to lose their case on XRP. They're going to have to either drop it or they're going to basically settle for a little bit of money, which they usually do. Usually when they settle, that means that they lost the case.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
I have a question as well. This is one that's been on my mind a wee bit, because as DeFi kind of matures and emerges, it's going to be a market that always one-ups itself. So as a bridge between CeFi and DeFi with Celsius, how do you see Celsius maintaining an edge on DeFi going forward?
Well, first, we definitely claim that we invented this whole category, for good or for bad. And we call it MOIP and not DeFi. And so it's a little bit different definition. And anything that is not centralized banking or traditional banking for us is DeFi, versus when you go and you talk to Compound or Aave, they believe that you must be a DAO and you must run these smart contract. We run smart contract. We run 14 different blockchains. They run one blockchain. So you tell me who's more DeFi, who's the real MOIP here, money over IP, right? So Celsius today generates higher yield almost on every asset than any DeFi platform. You might see a Compound spike for a few hours, a few days with this or that coin, but you look at any coin, any token, side by side over a period of time, and you say, what's the average? And you can deploy 10 times as much on Celsius as you can on any of those coins. Also, if you just look at the rate that you earn versus the rate that you borrow, and you look at those two numbers, you will see that on most coins, most tokens, Celsius pays you 80% of the difference between the borrow and the lend, and most of the DeFi platform pay you less than 50%. So these are all simple things that people just don't bother do the math on or compare, right? Celsius has no fee. You're probably going to spend 20 to 30% of all your earnings on gas fees, right? So people just don't understand that. They don't understand that the rate we publish is after fees, right? So when we deploy $100 million on this or that platform, we pay $30. You pay $30 when you put $200 there, so, right? So all those things are the difference between us basically creating those mega pools of BTC, mega pools of ETH. What is Cream? What is Aave? They're just pools. They're exactly the same thing that Celsius have. So Celsius was the first one to pay in kind or to pay with a token, with its own token. Compound, Aave, Uniswap all came a year and a half later. Right. So and again, this is not about, I won a medal. Why didn't you guys give me a medal? I have plenty of medals. I don't need any new ones. I'm saying this because the purists, the guys who kind of pretend like they created this, are want to push us out and say, well, Celsius, they're centralized. We're centralized, great. We support 14 blockchains. How many do you support? So who's more centralized? So anyway, look, I think what matters is not are you using Solidity or are you using some other software? Are you a DAO or are you not a DAO? What matters is who is doing the most for their community. And I can show you how I'm beating Compound on everything, on paying back the most, having the most assets, giving back more to the community, not charging fees, not having hacks, you name it. Any category, Celsius wins against any of these DeFi platforms.
Great, thanks, Alex. Hey, Jonathan, would you like to ask Alex about the rates, how they change, and your question regarding sustainability and competitors?
Yep, and there was another one which Alex made me think about then as well when you mentioned new medals. Are Celsius on track for a potential Fintech award? Fastest growing fintech ever.
In history, yes.
In history.
I would say that if we keep going the way we're going, we will beat every record of every fintech ever created, yes.
Wow.
We're at 15 billion. We're adding 1.26 billion a month right now. We added 600 million net deposit last week. Net. Okay? You get all the scoops. And you see, getting all the exclusives. I don't think we've shared any, but we just won. We just won the best wallet award just last week. So when you see, OKX listed us today, Bitfinex, Bittrex, all these things just happened. Why did all these exchanges suddenly rush in and say, fine, Celsius, we're not going to charge you any fees. Just please list your token over here. We want all your volume. Why are they doing that? Because they see the withdrawals. They see money just like a vacuum cleaner coming out of their exchanges, coming to Celsius. And they know the only way to bring these people back is to list sell token, right? So they're all doing it for selfish reasons. And that's what we said 3 years ago. It just took 3 years to get there, Now they're all falling like dominoes, one after the next. We have another very large exchange after OKX listing in the next month. The one shall not be named. But
that's great. And just on rates, despite the amount of new money flowing in and Bitcoin, etc., is that proving to be a challenge to keep the rates sustainable? Like, what's the key to keeping the rates high compared to competitors?
Yeah, we effectively are putting pressure on the entire market because it's not that we have a problem deploying. It's that when we deploy, everybody we put pressure on everybody else because we're so big now, right? So, but we can handle it. I mean, we don't have a problem. I just had our team meeting this morning, and we're deploying basically because it's not just what's coming in. We have loans that are coming due that need to be redeployed. We have some assets that are coming back from other things. So we're deploying at 3-4x the levels that we did just a few weeks ago. So I don't see any problem in deployment. I see rates fluctuating, but I don't see any problems with deployment. Look, we're still paying some of the highest rate was ever paid on stablecoins. Like when we launched Celsius, I think our rate was like 4.5% or something. So we're paying more than double the rates we paid in 2018. So when you ask, because everybody we talked to told us, you have 100 million, you can pay these 4.5% rate. When you're going to get to $1 billion, your rates are going to be just like the Fed. You're going to be paying like 0.5% or 0.3%. And exactly the opposite happened, right? So in many cases, we are the liquidity providers to DeFi. When you see these mega moves, you see hundreds of millions of dollars slushing around in DeFi. Guess who's the largest user of DeFi? Sometimes we're a borrower, sometimes we're a lender, but but we definitely move markets. We are the whale.
Nice one. Let's move on to future-proofing. Sarn, with your question.
Yeah, so this question is more kind of targeted towards how banks work, but when another global crisis hits, like the 2008 financial crisis, where banks face major issues, mainly because of their own lending, but if that was to happen again in the coming years, do you think Celsius would have be quite affected by this, with people maybe all wanting to withdraw their money? And if so, does Celsius have buffers in place for a situation like this?
Yeah. So first, we don't use leverage, right? We don't, unlike banks who banks used to have to keep 10 cents of every dollar, right? So 10% and lend out 90%. Now they have to keep zero. The Fed lowered that requirement, and the Bank of England and so on. Everybody basically lowered those to zero. They don't have to keep anything in reserves. And now it's legal. If you come and you want to withdraw your money and they don't have it, that's legal. You have to wait to get your money out. So Celsius doesn't have any leverage. And at any moment, we never have more than 80% deployed, meaning we always have 20% of the money available without leverage, right? Banks do up to 50 to 1 leverage. So, and we were just recently tested on March 12 of 2020. The crypto market, Bitcoin went down 40%, Ethereum went down 60%, right? That is, if you want to test, that is a test, you know?
Yeah.
Celsius had no liquidations, had no liquidity issues, had zero problems. And we walked out smelling like a rose. All of our competitors basically had huge liquidations. Like you look at Compound or Maker or whatever, they had hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars. BitMEX liquidated over $1 billion that day, right? Just BitMEX. So we already passed the test. Now, is it going to be a different test? Of course. Are we going to be tested differently? Of course. But we had positive net deposits on March 12th, like, which completely shocked me, right? I was like, because I think we were like 36% in liquid assets ready for withdrawals. And we closed the day and we had positive net deposits. And I said to my team, go back and check your numbers. There's no way this is true. I mean, it just can't be true. The market just collapsed like crazy. And then we're like, wait a second, our community is hodlers. What did the hodlers do when the price of Bitcoin drops 40%? They buy more.
Flash sale, yeah, they buy more.
It's a flash sale. And where do they put it? They put it in Celsius. So it was just beautiful. It was like, so if your community is a trader community, yeah, you blow up, you have problems, you know, your systems go down because everybody's trying to trade as much as possible. We have not seen any of that. So now our community is probably going to shift because we're probably going to have traders join on top of hodlers. And so there's going to be a different movement. I'll admit that. I don't expect it to be 100% hodler forever. But to date, we've passed every test. Or I would say the community passed every test. We didn't pass anything. We were just sitting, watching our community behave the way they were supposed to behave, which was beautiful, you know.
Great one. Jonathan, do you want to move on to ambassadors and promos?
Yeah, I was on a call the other week with a new ambassador structure that's being put in place with Scott. I think it's really good. Do you think until now, that ambassadors have kind of been underutilized?
For sure. I'm very frustrated with that because we have 1,400 ambassadors. And I mean, it's almost like our secret weapon, and we definitely are not doing enough for them. So now, for example, we're doing this special 40 plus 40. It's only available to ambassadors. The web app is only available to ambassadors. So you can see us finally realizing, gosh, you know, we have the secret weapon. Why don't we actually treat them a little bit nicer than just asking them to do stuff for us? Why don't we do some stuff for them? So you can see the shift already. And we definitely need to do more. I mean, I think it's probably the most underutilized asset that Celsius has is this ambassador army that, I mean, just working 7 days a week, right? Producing content, doing, like, we're doing this round right now, and I wanted to do whatever, financial analysis. And then I got on Kevin's call, on Sunday, right? He has this monthly call or whatever. And the team was showing the slides, the trillionaire was showing it, and Plan C and all these other guys. And I was like, I don't need to do anything. I just need to use what these guys already created. It's much better than what my team put together describing Celsius. So these people are not getting paid. They're not doing it because we put them on a paycheck. They just love the project, they love the community, and they distill it down to the formula. Like, they actually figured out what the formula is better than the Celsius team. I said I had a management call this morning, and I said to them, the ambassadors are figuring it out better than you. Here, look at the charts, look at the formulas. Stop trying to recreate everything internally. So definitely, I mean, we're underutilizing the ambassadors. Sorry.
That's good to hear. That
San,
finally making a change.
Did you want to interject there, San, just briefly?
Yeah, I think I'm in the ambassador program. I just joined recently, and it does seem like they're revving it up a lot, Scott and Zach. But definitely when it comes to something like trying to convince people that they can actually earn proper yield, being able to actually trust someone that they've already kind of looked up to in terms of content or resources is definitely a great asset. I know for a fact when, if you see a Facebook ad pop up and it's trying to tell you that you can earn 10% yield on your cash, that's a lot harder to trust than someone that you've already seen or or even a family member or a friend telling you. So I think definitely it's just trying to help other people out there also earn yield is also like another very cool thing, because it's something that we've all experienced through Celsius. And if we love the service, we want to share that with people that we care about or we want to help as well. So that's a major part of it too.
Especially when you talk about money, right? Because when you tell somebody, hey, you should try this dating app or you should try this travel site, great. But when you're talking to people and you're asking them to change their behavior about money and trust a completely new company or provider, the trust bar is much, much higher. So hearing about it or seeing somebody that you know well who is using it for weeks or months is a much more important trust deposit than like you said. I mean, we don't advertise because we don't think it works. And frankly, the funny thing is that in 2018, after the collapse, no one wanted to accept crypto ads. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't spend the money advertising because basically everybody said no crypto advertising. Facebook, Twitter, Google, everybody, right? So we had to build a community. We didn't have a choice. We had to do all this stuff. So now we hired a new CMO, and he was like, why don't we go and do campaigns and advertise? I'm like, no, we've proven what works. Why change a winning formula and try to do what all the other guys are doing because they don't have a community, right? So definitely, your point squared. I mean, again, we celebrate the community every day. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Like they keep surprising us every time. The self-insurance or a proof of community project, all that stuff. A lot of that came from the community because people kept saying, can you show me that I really earned this? And I kept asking myself that question, and then we figured it out. We wrote the zero proof algorithms that allow you to see that, and prove it without figuring out who else is on, who are the other people in the pool, protecting their identity, right?
Yeah, no, thanks, Alex. We've actually gone over the 20 minutes you've promised us, but I knew we weren't going to get through all the questions.
Keep hitting them. Don't worry about it. I'll keep my answers short. Let's cover a few more.
Okay, well, on the topic of trying to onboard new members, I'm just wondering if there might be some merit in adopting a more tiered approach to referral bonuses to allow for smaller investors, given that mass adoption is the goal. For example, $20 BTC for $200 deposited after 30 days, and $40 for $400, that kind of thing.
So we started there, right? Our campaign, actually, original campaign was 20 for 200, and then we went 30 for 300, and so on and so on. So we can probably put several of those to work in at the same time, but the idea is that from our standpoint, we might be totally wrong about it, is that we ran out of people who wanted 20 for 200, right? So we kind of like raising the bar, paying more, and asking you to deposit more. But again, all that is an experiment. So we definitely are open to testing other systems. Right now, again, we gave the ambassadors 40 plus 40. Let's see what they do. And it's not on our website, right? So it's a special. And, it's also an experiment,
Yeah, that's great, thanks. And I just want to note too that it is clarified on the Celsius Network website that this first transfer bonus can be made in several transactions with different assets over the 30-day period. So I just want to make that clear to new people. It doesn't have to be your very first transfer. Now, Jonathan, you have a question regarding the card, the amazing world first card.
Yeah, it's the credit card we've got coming. I don't know if you can discuss the functionality or whether you know how it works yet, but one of the concerns is that if it locks up crypto, it might cause a taxable event in certain countries around the world. So the UK is one of them. So if I spent $10, you might lock up $20 worth of Bitcoin, for example, to cover cost of purchase. That would be a taxable event in the UK. So I'm just kind of wondering whether if it's a lockup system or whether it's kind of you get to spend an X percentage of credit against the value of your portfolio.
Yeah, so look, we obviously don't want to create taxable events for anybody. So our lawyers, I'm sure, are going to work super hard to find a language that avoids making it a taxable event. So, but what the card is all about is really, it's almost like the opposite of what every other card is. So no annual fee, no transaction fees, right? No hidden, gotchas. No, nothing like that, right? It's all about helping people that are crypto people build credit in a world where your who you are is determined by how much credit do you have on a credit card. I mean, that's the world we live in, at least in the United States. So for people who are big crypto holders or hodlers, they are almost being punished because they are outside of that system, and the financial system looks at them and says, "Oh, you're a poor guy and you're high risk," So we, by enabling these cards, it's not just about accessing to your dollars, because you can go to Celsius and get a loan right now. But by transacting through the Visa or MasterCard networks, you're effectively building up your credit, and you don't have to pay 18 or 20 or 24% interest for that. You can do it paying very, very low rates. So there, besides the obvious benefits of being able to spend without selling your coins and hopefully not getting a tax event, we think that building your credit, having like limited, like you can give it to your kids and have limited capacity on it, right? Like I tried to use one of these services for my kids myself, and it's a nightmare. Like just managing several cards with limits, like it's just crazy difficult. Like you would think it would be easy, but I'm struggling it inside my own family. So we want to solve a lot of problems in one. And frankly, it's not that hard. When we dig into it, we go like, wow, like if we just do this and this and this, we're gonna have this beautiful. Because it's hard when you try to charge fees on everything, because then it's hard. But when you try not to charge fees, when your intention is how do I charge the least amount of fees possible, actually things get much, much easier.
True. Let's just quickly move on. Jonathan, you wanted to say something about security and support?
Oh yeah, this should just be a yes or no answer. On one of the AMAs, you said that the security team actively checks users' usernames and passwords in the dark web to ensure they're not compromised. Is that true?
Yeah, and we block accounts. So we have people who keep complaining that we blocked their account, and we're like, your name and your password isn't in the dark web. And they're like, how do you know? And we're like, because we looked. So also we proactively also track all the pools. For example, we track all the DeFi pools, which none of the DeFi guys do. And if somebody deposits tainted coins into Compound, for example, you're not going to know about it. Your coins are sitting in the same pool with those guys. The minute we see that, we withdraw all of our coins. We're like, can't touch this anymore, and so on. So, because if the government seizes that pool, guess what? Your funds are going to get stuck over there for a very long time. So all these people who think, well, you can't seize a DAO. Yes, you can. What do you think when they're going to show up in Robert's house and say, here is a judge order, shut down this pool, freeze this pool? Of course he's going to comply. So, we've already seen Circle shut down a USDC account, and we've already seen Tether shut down the USDT accounts. So we know it's going to happen. So being proactive about it, protecting the community, that's our job. I mean, that's so all those things. When people who don't understand much say, they come and they, accuse us of stuff or whatever, we just go like, really? I mean, did you even read what we do? Did you even look into it? Like I said to Nouriel Rubini, why don't you buy a few coins and then tell us how it works? So it's the same thing here, right? You want to understand Celsius, just open an account. We don't charge any fees. How hard is that? And then you can tell us all the things we're doing wrong and why we're not DeFi and how we are whatever. We are bad for Bitcoin, Seriously? We paid more Bitcoin to more Bitcoin holders than everybody else put together. How about that? So $350 million paid out to our community, right? And most of that is Bitcoin. So that's what we want to celebrate. When you go to a regulator and they ask you what you do, we pay money to small, medium-sized investors. We've been doing that for 3.5 years. We've never missed a payment. Oh, okay. We thought you guys are high-risk traders. We don't trade. We don't have a single trader in the company. No one is allowed to trade. We're not allowed to exchange one coin to another. That would be the opposite of what we're supposed to do. So those are the things that, just most people don't think that it's possible to earn money if you're not trading, right? They all think the only way to make money is you jump to USDT and then you jump into ETH and then you jump into USDT and then you jump into BTC or whatever, But frankly, we all know that if you just hodl and you get free coins, you end up way ahead. I wish I didn't trade and I would have all the coins that I'd sold when I thought I could time the market. All right.
Good, cool. So we better wrap up. Any final comment for Alex, fellas?
No, just a big thank you for taking your time out. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Look, I think one of the biggest things Celsius have proved that they're doing good and then doing well is a business model. Most people thought that was not a business model, right? That most people said, whatever, let's grow a community, but then we're going to milk them. We're going to squeeze them for fees and whatever else. And we're saying, no, we never have to do that, right? We can run a profitable business that is very profitable for our community forever. Because in this business, in this structure, it may not work in the real world, right? It may only work in crypto, but here there is a win-win-win scenario where, again, if more people join, right, the value of all of our assets, all of our coins increases, and the fact that other people need to borrow these assets creates yield. So I think if we can set that as a business model for others to follow us, instead of being neutral or just being a toll collector, then if we just did that, that would be enough. But making 300 zillionaires and helping hundreds of thousands of people kind of create yield for themselves is also a blessing. So thanks for having me, and we'll do this again. We'll compare notes next year and see what do we have in AUM.
Yeah. Hey, Alex.
Date.
Alice, just before you go, one quick question. If you had become a DJ, what would be your go-to music?
Go-to music. Wow. I'm like a 90s guy. Like, I don't have a specific genre because I like jazz and I like pop and I like all kind of other stuff. But
Sweet.
I'm,
Thanks.
80s, 90s. I'm an old dude. So I'm stuck in that music. So, but I like some of the new stuff too. So it's
All good.
Top hits anytime, no problem. Top 50. So.
Thanks very much for sharing that.
All right, guys, have fun.
Have a good night,
All right.
guys.
Cheers. Bye.
I think I'm even better on the COVID shot, like than normal.
You're high.
Was it? It wasn't Pfizer, was it? Was it?
It was no, it's Moderna, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh well, I hope you stay safe, and thank you very much for your time.
All right, take care.
You are listening to Celsius Radio.